Welcome back, guys, to another video. Hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas. In this West Ham video, we're going to be looking ahead to West Ham United versus Brighton. Give my thoughts on tomorrow's game. But guys, make sure in the comment section down below, you let me know your thoughts down below. That would be fantastic. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, especially if you want to see more West Ham content and support West Ham. Now, let's talk West Ham United versus Brighton. Now, coming off a 3-0 defeat against Chelsea, we could probably say to get our season back on track, because we've had a fantastic start, but obviously we suffered a defeat against Chelsea. We got a draw against Crystal Palace, and this West Ham team need to bounce back with a victory against Brighton. However, we know from previous seasons, since Brighton have been in the Premier League, they have been a team that we just struggle against. 6 times we've played them in the Premier League since their arrival, and we've lost 3 and we've drawn 3. And it just doesn't matter what manager we have, what kind of style of play we have, we just can't seem to beat Brighton. So hopefully tomorrow's game, which is on a Sunday, 2:15, we can break that hoodoo. Graham Potter, who's a new manager to the league, well, it's his 2nd season in charge of Brighton, he's done a very, very good job there. He sort of brought a style of play that you probably wouldn't associate with Brighton. Under Chris Hughton, they were sort of a team that was expected to have very, very low possession numbers. They were a team to, try and frustrate the opposition, similar to how Burnley play, similar to maybe how Crystal Palace play. And in attacking transitions, that's where they would hurt teams on the break with players like Anthony Knockaert. But guys, there's no Glenn Murray, which is absolutely fantastic, because that guy seems to score about 3 or 4 goals a season against West Ham, and a good proportion of his goals would come against West Ham. However, good news, he does not play for Brighton. He is actually on loan at Watford. But in terms of tomorrow's game, guys, I'm fully expecting this game to go in a similar pattern as it went against Fulham, as it went against Crystal Palace. Brighton are going to frustrate us because the style of play that they play with Graham Potter, they play a possession style. They play a possession style. They like the higher percentage of the ball. They want to get the ball into their CDMs, like Ben White and Basuma, who's been linked with bigger clubs. They want to get the ball to their fullbacks, who get nice, high and wide. Now, the only good thing about this game in terms of the opposition and looking at their personnel is that Tariq Lamptey, who's probably been the best player so far this season, well, he was certainly their best player in the earlier parts of the season, is that he's unavailable due to injury. And what he provides is natural width, natural pace, getting down that right-hand side, putting crosses in to the Brighton forwards, such as Neal Maupay, who I don't think he scored against West Ham, but he does provide a threat in terms of his anticipation. He's a good reader of the game. He'll go front stick. He'll know when to drop maybe into the central areas of the penalty box for a pullback. So he's someone that the West Ham defence need to, sort of pick up in terms of marking. But guys, we're going to be frustrated, I feel like. it's going to be one of those games where us as fans, we're going to be looking at the TV going, come on, West Ham, push a little bit higher, because it is one of those games that we are expected to have, we're the ones that are expected to maybe put our authority onto the game. Let's show what we can do on the ball. But I actually feel like, based off previous experiences and patterns from Fulham, from Sheffield United, where maybe there's patterns in that game, and even Chelsea, where we had lots of the ball, it will probably actually suit us that Brighton will have 50-60% of the ball, because we've seen so far this season, Leeds United away, they had 50-60% of the ball, but we could have easily won that game 5-1, because what they do, they get their fullbacks high, they have lots of possession numbers, they're aggressive in terms of possession, but what does that leave? Space. Now, in terms of the West Ham team and how I want us to line up, because of Tariq Lamptey, I want Ben Rama to come in. So I feel like the back 7 picks itself. Fabianski, Cresswell, Ogbonna, Balbuena, Soufal. Declan Rice and Thomas Souček. Now, they've got an important job tomorrow, because what they need to do is nullify, if they can, the threat of Basuma and Ben White. They are 2 players that are going to drop deep, trying to pick up the ball in deep areas, which will let them have lots of possession. They'll probably pass it from side to side quite often. So it's important that we can try and get in their faces, try and disrupt their rhythm, their momentum, so we can try and win the ball a little bit higher up. Now, in terms of attacking personnel and how I want to approach this game, so there's no Tariq Lamptey, who is probably their best player and probably their most valued player. So I want to see Ben Rama start. I want to see Ben Rama start on that left-hand side. I want him to attack and exploit the weakness down on that right-hand side, because I'm not too sure who they're going to bring in terms of their right-back to replace Lamptey. But I want to see Ben Rama. These are the kind of fixtures that he should be starting. he should be starting the majority of the time. But this is where we will see the Ben Rama that we should see the glimpses of the Ben Rama that's in the Championship in terms of attacking fullbacks, coming inside, interchanging with the striker, getting involved in our build-up. So I want to see Ben Rama start. Now, the other change that I want to make is I want to drop 4 now to this game, and I want to start Lanzini. Now, I feel like Lanzini probably would have started against Chelsea if it wasn't for his hamstring injury, because he come off the bench against Crystal Palace, and he actually played pretty well. He was dropping deep to receive the ball to try and build up a bit of possession, but it was also, just drifting in little wide areas, trying to pick up the ball, trying to make things happen, and he actually did make a very good impact for West Ham when he come off the bench against Crystal Palace. So I want to see Lanzini come in. I want to see 4 nows dropped, and that's not like a personal vendetta, because I do understand, West Ham fan base, we're very much split on 4 nows. As fans, we do appreciate that he works hard, but he's had a long run in the first team. He's been dragged off a couple of times at half-time because of his, in terms of he hasn't really played well. But he always starts. Now, I do understand that David Moyes wants a hard-working team. But for me, I want to see Lanzini. I want to see Lanzini because if he's never going to be able to start against these teams, against Brighton, when is he ever actually going to start realistically? I think we're maybe slowly seeing a Lanzini of old, before his major injury that he received on international duty. So I want to see Lanzini start, Bowen to start on the right-hand side. Now, in terms of striker, because there's a chance that Antonio could be in the squad. Now, there's a lot of temptation because he's had a long injury layoff that we could throw him back in again. David Moyes done it against Aston Villa and it didn't pay off. 45 minutes in, he had to be brought off and Haller brought on. Now, looking at the Brighton defence, they've got huge guys. They've got Dan Burn, Webster, Lewis Dunk. Big physical specimens who are going to be very, very good in the air. So for me, if Antonio was fit, I would start Antonio if he was fit. Because what he would do, he would drag those defenders into wide areas, because Brighton favour the 3-5-2 formation, which will enable spaces such as Souček, such as Ben Rama, to find those pockets of space that they can run into and maybe capitalise on those defenders coming out in wide areas. But for me, I would start Haller because I just don't think Antonio's fit. If he was fit, I think it's, pretty common that 90% of West Ham fans would go ahead with Antonio, because the way we play in terms of Antonio in the team and when Haller starts, it's night and day. So for me, Haller should start tomorrow just because, I don't think Antonio is fully fit, and we need to slowly bring him back in. If we're drawing or we're getting frustrated or we're losing with like 30 minutes to go, bring him on, or even at half-time, maybe possibly bring him on at half-time. That is probably the earliest I will bring on Antonio. But for me, Antonio, I'm hoping he doesn't start just because we need to nurture him. He is someone that, his injury record and his hamstrings is just not very good. So it's going to be a tough fixture because the last time we beat Brighton was in the Championship when we won 6-0 or 6-1. When Ricardo Vazquez scored a hat-trick. But it's one of those games that we need to go and pick the 3 points up. It's a must-win game so we can, we could possibly move up a couple of places. We're currently sitting 10th before Boxing Day's fixtures. I'm recording this 11 o'clock on Boxing Day. So, guys, that is going to be the match opposition preview. West Ham United versus Brighton. I hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Check out all my other videos on the West Ham channel. That would be greatly appreciated. I'll catch you next time. See you later.